Governments love borrowing money the way teenagers love spending money that isn't theirs. And somehow every year they're shocked when the bill shows up. Today's global economy basically works like one giant group project where nobody reads the instructions, everyone overspends, and somehow the United States and the United Kingdom still get to be the responsible ones, even though they owe more money than every student loan in history combined. Let's start with the United States, because if debt was a sport, the US would have championship rings. The US national debt recently crossed $34 trillion, which is basically the GDP of several countries mashed together like a financial smoothie. If you stacked $34 trillion bills, it would reach the moon and back, and then keep going until NASA filed a complaint. But here's the funny thing. The US can still borrow money cheaply, because investors trust it like that one friend who always pays late but eventually pays. The world basically shrugs and says, yeah, they owe a lot, but it's America. They'll figure it out. It's the economic version of plot armor. Across the Atlantic, the UK isn't doing much better. The UK has a national debt hovering around £2.7 trillion, which sounds smaller until you convert it into dollars and cry. The British government borrows money almost as often as people complain about the weather, which is to say, constantly. And yes, the joke is real. Britain is the only place where it rains, the trains are delayed, and the government still says, well, might as well borrow another £100 billion. So why are these countries drowning in debt? Because modern countries operate like they have an unlimited credit card with no consequences. Want to fund a war? Swipe. Subsidize an industry? Swipe. Give tax cuts during a recession? Super swipe. Want to fix 1970s infrastructure? Just kidding. They'll borrow money for that, but still won't fix it. Real-life example? During the 2008 financial crisis, the US government bailed out major banks with hundreds of billions, basically saying, you crashed the economy? No problem. Here's some cash. Try not to do it again. Spoiler, they did it again. The UK followed with its own bailout for RBS and others, creating a situation where taxpayers were indirectly shareholders in banks they didn't even like. Another example. During COVID, governments went on a borrowing spree so wild it made Black Friday shopping look calm. The US printed trillions in stimulus money, and the UK pumped out furlough payments like Oprah giving away cars. You get a furlough, you get a furlough, everybody gets a furlough. And this brings us to another uncomfortable truth. Debt is no longer an emergency. It's a lifestyle. Countries borrow money even when times are good, like the US borrowing during the 2017 to 2019 economic boom. It's like having a great salary and still taking loans for pizza. Then there's interest, the silent villain. The US now spends hundreds of billions every year just on interest payments. Not on schools, not on hospitals, just on saying, hey creditors, thanks for waiting. In fact, the US now spends more on interest than it does on many government departments combined. It's basically paying rent to countries like Japan and China, but without getting a room. Meanwhile, the UK's interest payments have gotten so high that economists have politely described it as unsustainable, which is economist language for, oh dear, this is on fire. Another reason countries sink deeper into debt? Every politician wants to look like Santa Claus without paying for any of the presents. Want votes? Promise tax cuts. Want more votes? Promise new benefits. How do you pay for all that? You don't. You borrow. Politicians buy popularity now and leave the bill for future leaders, who then also borrow to fix the previous borrowing. It's an endless cycle of debt, so impressive it deserves a Netflix documentary. Even countries like Canada and Australia are deep in it. Canada now owes over 1.2 trillion Canadian dollars, and Australians owe so much that some economists have begun calling it fiscally spicy. If that sounds weird, blame Australia. It's the same country that has spiders the size of dinner plates. Their problems are always spicy. Let's talk real consequences. When debt gets too high, governments have to choose between raising taxes, cutting services, or borrowing even more. Guess which one they pick? They borrow more, because raising taxes makes people angry, and cutting services makes people angrier. Borrowing makes nobody angry today. Tomorrow is future taxpayers' problem. High five, future generations. And don't forget inflation, the silent side effect. When governments borrow and print too much money, prices rise. It's the reason a bag of groceries in the US now costs the same as a small car in the 1970s. The UK inflation spike after Brexit and COVID? Same cause. Too much stimulus, too much borrowing, not enough tea to calm down. But here's the twist. Countries can't actually go bankrupt the way people do. The US won't get its credit card cut in half by the bank. The UK won't get a call saying, "Your loan application is denied because you already owe the GDP of France." Countries just keep borrowing until people stop trusting them. That's what happened to Greece in 2010. They basically went, "Surprise, we're broke," and the EU said, "No worries, let us lecture you and then give you strict homework for the next decade." So, will the US or UK ever hit that point? Probably not. The US controls the world's reserve currency. The UK still prints money through the Bank of England. Basically, they have cheat codes. But that doesn't mean everything is fine. It just means they can kick the financial can so far down the road that it's practically in another country. In the end, every country is drowning in debt because the system encourages it. Borrowing is easy. Spending is fun. Paying back is boring. And politicians hate boring things. If countries treated debt like normal people, they'd budget, spend carefully, and maybe stop funding weird projects. But instead, they behave like billionaires on vacation. And as long as the world keeps lending them money, they'll keep pretending everything is under control. But here's the punchline. Debt isn't going away. It's the main character of the global economy. Governments will keep borrowing, interest payments will keep rising, and future generations will look back at us and say, "Wow, you guys couldn't even afford your own problems." And honestly, they'll be right.